Orion Williamson disappears before witnesses on a foggy street corner. In the heart of a city that never sleeps, where neon lights dance across rain-slicked streets and the distant hum of traffic shudders down winding avenues, something unimaginable happened. Under a flickering lamppost on a fog-choked corner, Orion Williamson stood bluntly silent, his silhouette blurred by the gathering mist. Passers-by, heads bent against the cold wind, slowed their pace as if drawn by an otherworldly force. One witness, a tired bartender closing down the nearby tavern, remembered the soft echo of Orion's footsteps as he approached, then the breathy sigh that escaped his lips as he looked skyward. Another, an insomniac runner wrapped in fluorescent gear, noticed how the air around Orion seemed to warp, like heat above asphalt on a sweltering summer day. In the moments that followed, the world tilted on its axis. A sudden gust of wind whipped towels and paper into spirals, the fog thickened until street lamps dissolved into halos, and Orion Williamson vanished. It wasn't a trick of the light, nor the figment of a weary mind. More than a dozen witnesses swore he had been there one heartbeat, gone the next. News crews arrived before dawn, their cameras capturing empty pavement and a single scuffed boot, left behind as though dropped in midstride. In quiet homes across the city, readers tore through articles proclaiming a scandal, a conspiracy, a curse. But no one could explain what had truly occurred in those final seconds. That night marked the beginning of an investigation that would expose hidden alliances, resurrect old rivalries, and challenge every assumption about reality itself. The night he vanished, late on an October evening, Orion Williamson made his final walk along the city's oldest promenade. The towering brick facades flanking the narrow street exhaled gusts of chill, carrying the distant clatter of subway cars. Orion, an investigative journalist known for chasing rumors that made others uncomfortable, moved with purpose, clutching a battered leather notebook. He passed under the glow of wrought iron lanterns, their feeble light painting elongated shapes on wet pavement. Ahead, a knot of curious onlookers had gathered, drawn by the haunting strains of a saxophone drifting from a dimly lit bar. Orion paused to listen, the melancholy melody stirring memories he refused to articulate aloud. Conversation among the crowd hushed as he drew near, they sensed he held answers no one dared ask. Slowly, Orion lifted his hand, as though signaling them to wait. The next moment, a tremor ran through the air, the lamppost shivered, and he began to dissolve, his form clotted by fog, then unraveled like threads in the wind. Faces blurred in panic as witnesses lunged forward, but found only empty air and the faint echo of a final note. The bartender who had seen him last swore he heard Orion whisper one word before disappearing: "Find." Actually, the old stone clock on the corner chimed midnight as the police tape snapped into place, sealing off the mystery that would soon grip the entire city. The deserted corner hours after Orion's disappearance. Echoes of clues. Detective Mara Lennox arrived at the scene before dawn, her trench coat spattered with rain and determination. A veteran of missing person cases, she had never encountered a disappearance like this: no CCTV footage, no footprints leading away, no distress calls. Even the leather notebook Orion carried vanished without trace. Inside the police station's evidence room, a single photograph dominated the investigation board, a blurred figure under that lamppost, surrounded by mist and half-drawn gasps. Lennox ordered her team to interview every witness again, cross-checking statements for the smallest inconsistency. One jogger insisted the lamppost lights had pulsed right before Orion evaporated, another claimed to smell burning ozone. Late into the night, two uniformed officers discovered a tuft of white fabric snagged on an iron railing. Could it have belonged to Orion, or was it meant to mislead? Lennox paced the precinct hallway, mind spinning through theories of secret societies, clandestine experiments, and ancient incantations. Each hypothesis seemed more extraordinary than the last, but in her gut, she believed the answer lay hidden in plain sight. As dawn broke, the evidence board expanded. Maps, scribbled calculations, a fragment of a cryptic newspaper clipping hinting at a century-old disappearance on the very same block. With the city waking around her, Lennox realized that to solve this modern-day vanishing, she would need to chase shadows through history itself. Detectives pieced together fragments of Orion's last known movements. Revelations in the shadows. By the third week of the inquiry, whispers of Orion's fate had spread into back alleys and high-rise boardrooms alike. A clandestine informant contacted Detective Lennox at an abandoned warehouse on the riverside. Hands trembling, voice hushed, he slid across a thin bundle of papers. Within were journal entries marked by Orion in legible cursive, references to an underground network called the Meridian Collective, hints at surveillance devices embedded in city infrastructure, and a final line scrawled in urgency, "They watch us from the ether." Late that night, under the hum of fluorescent bulbs, Lennox traced Meridian's origins to a secretive circle of affluent investors seeking to harness cutting-edge electromagnetic technology. Every file she downloaded, every interview she conducted, wove a darker tapestry: employees who vanished after raising ethical objections, whistleblowers silenced by legal threats, and rumors of experiments conducted in unmarked sublevels beneath the city's abandoned subway tunnels. Another lead guided her to a narrow alleyway near the old textile district, where a dim lamp flickered over damp bricks. There, partially hidden behind discarded crates, lay a battered journal, Orion's handwriting unmistakable, the pages stained by rain. Inside, she found passages detailing midnight stakeouts, coded coordinates, and an unsettling theory that Meridian's electromagnetic fields could disrupt human perception itself. The final entries spoke of a planned meetup at that very corner where he vanished, a test he believed would expose the collective's secret application of the technology. As she lifted her head, the alley felt impossibly silent, as though the city itself was holding its breath. But just beyond the flickering halo of the lamp, shadows shifted and resolved into a familiar outline, a figure draped in a woolen coat, hood pulled low, watching her. Lennox's heart pounded as she realized Orion might not be lost, but trapped inside the invisible web he'd set out to unravel. Orion's hidden journal discovered in a shadowed alley. As Detective Lennox prepared her final report, the city held its collective breath. News outlets clamored for closure, victims' families demanded answers, and the Meridian Collective released a brief statement denying all allegations. Yet behind closed doors, encrypted servers crackled with evidence Orion had gathered: recordings of low-frequency pulses, financial transfers to shell companies, and messages he'd intercepted claiming, "Human subjects are ready." Late one evening, standing once more on that fog-laced corner, Lennox activated a portable device Orion had left behind, a hand-sized transmitter humming with potential. The lampost's glow shimmered, the fog swirled, and for an instant she glimpsed Orion, eyes wide, reaching out from a shifting veil of light. He mouthed a word she thought she'd only imagined: justice. Then, as abruptly as he appeared, he was gone again, leaving behind only the cold night air and the steady pulse of the lamp. Though the official case remained open, Lennox knew the truth extended beyond city ordinances into realms science had yet to chart. And somewhere, either trapped in a ripple between worlds or orchestrating his own escape, Orion Williamson waited for the day he could step back into the light, carrying proof that some mysteries are engineered, not fated, and that justice sometimes arrives through impossible means. The city would never be the same, and neither would she. But the files he left, the spectral whisper of his voice, and the promise of that final, unfinished, message ensured one fact above all: the disappearance of Orion Williamson would not fade into the fog of forgotten lore, but stand as a beacon for every seeker bold enough to follow where shadows led. Detective Mara Lennox locked the case files and turned toward the lamppost once more, its yellow glow cutting through the night. She knew this story was far from over, and perhaps, the world wasn't ready for what lay beyond the next pulse of light. Yet in the hush of that endless city night, justice felt closer than ever before, waiting just beyond the veil of what most called reality itself.